All right, welcome back to WMMA Now with your host Chuck Stevenson, and welcome to the Asian edition of the WMMA Q&A. I'm joined tonight with my co-host Hyon Ho of. Well, John, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and give all your credentials and tell people where they can come and find you afterwards.
All right, yeah, John Hanko, if you look at the bottom of the screen, JHK MMA, you can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, anything pretty much, any social media, it's all JHK MMA. You can find me doing interviews mostly for SCMP, South China Morning Post. Sometimes I'll throw up interviews on my YouTube page, which is you can search my name, John Hyunko or Kumite TV, and interviews will be up there. I write from time to time for AsianMMA.com. You covering a lot of the Japanese or the Korean MMA scene. Besides that, I'm just trying to grow my profile and do my thing to I guess cement my name in MMA media. Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd say besides you and James Lynch, I can't think of anyone else who interviews more fights than you do, or more fighters rather.
Yeah, it's
You and James.
James. Yeah, James is he's a monster. Yeah, he's a monster, so it's hard to compete with that guy.
Yeah. So before we get some viewers in, I got some questions of my own for you. So first off, I know you live in Seoul, so you're in the middle of Korea, and you're embedded in that scene over there. So what's new in the Korean MMA scene?
In the Korean MMA scene, we have a new promotion coming up called the Beast Championship.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that. So,
Okay. Then I guess I don't want to get too deep into it.
okay.
But yeah, there's so I guess in February, end of February, we have the Beast Championship. I'm hearing that AFC will be doing a show soon, maybe in March. Double G also in March, possibly. They're kind of looking at like the climate of the COVID and if things are going to open back up or not. So they're waiting until March. But I heard that they might be doing a collaboration too, where they have like the champions fight the champions from Double G versus AFC.
Oh, that'd be neat.
Yeah, so they're trying to do something funky, something different. We haven't seen AFC in a long time. I almost thought that they were never gonna come back. You know what I mean? Because they keep on delaying and delaying and delaying. You know, Chuck.
Yeah, I mean, they pushed their event back like 3 times. So
Yeah, so it's just I don't know if are they getting desperate and that's why they're trying to do a collaboration with Double G. I have no idea, but man, they haven't had shows in a long time. Double G, they've had a few shows
yeah,
in 2020, and they've all been great. I've been to all of them live. It's fun. They have great fighters. They have great matchups. What's unique about them is they're a small promotion with 5 judges, which is weird. There's been some weird moments because of that, where the people or the officials don't know what's going on, which is always interesting to watch, like in real time as it's going, as it's happening. Just see people like scatter and try to figure out like what is this decision that we're gonna make, the judges, you know what I mean? But yeah, other than that, Road, I don't know what's going on with Road. Road, it seems like they what I heard was last year. This is what I heard from an official from Road, is that they would not come back until they're allowed to have an audience, a live audience, right? Road, the big road shows. So that's what was in their mind, and they didn't come back, and it doesn't seem like they're coming back anytime soon. I heard they're gonna do AFC or not AFC, ARC shows in that little small. They were doing shows in a little. I don't want to say little small, but they were doing shows in this venue where they usually have e games.
yeah, it's
So
like
they
a
would
conference room almost.
yeah, but it was like all set up with like high tech screens, and I went there a few times for a couple of their shows. It's a small ring, but it's good. I think it's good to have those shows. I heard that they were going to try to do it every month, and that would have been a good idea because there's no audience. You just go there. There's fights. You film them, and then you do what you want to do. They're in collaboration with Africa TV. So, and Africa TV does a lot of live gaming too.
I like the concept of it because it was like 3 3-minute rounds with shortened ground time, which I mean, which some people are saying, well, that's not real MMA. I'm thinking, well, MMA is fluid. But also I like the idea that they were doing it in order to reach the like Africa TV audience, which is like they're trying to reach the millennial like Generation Z audience, which is like
Yeah.
short attention spans by having these shorter fights. So I thought that was a good idea. And plus they were mostly focusing on like their lesser experienced fighters and a lot of debutantes. So it let them, build up their resume a little bit.
Yeah, but the problem with that is like the guys that are established, the people that are on
Yeah.
the verge of becoming like bigger names, they sat on the sidelines for more than a year.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure a lot of them are frustrated because they have plans for their careers. It's not like they just want to sit around and hold the road belt.
Yeah. It seems like the problem to me with Road was like, I mean, you mentioned it to me one time, is that they're all stuck on exclusive contracts and Road won't let them out. And it's like, if you're not going to have shows, you got to let these fighters go and, fight. Otherwise, by the time you have shows, they're going to come back and they're going to look like garbage because they've been sitting out for a year or more.
Yeah, you're not lying about that. It's just yeah, just
Plus, they're not
I
making
don't
money.
know. Yeah, they like it's not like they get paid that much money either,
Right.
so it's not like they're gonna get paid like one time and then it'll make up for that year that they missed. It's not gonna be like that. So yeah, I wish they would just let a lot of the guys go, a lot of the girls go and see if they could find spots internationally somewhere. They're willing to the Korean fighters are willing to do the 2-week quarantines that is required to enter back into the country. I think the reason why is because you get to stay at home. You don't have to stay in a hotel. So it doesn't that big fee, that money, you don't have to spend that money. You could just stay at home, isolated, and spend the 2 weeks there. And Korea takes pretty good care of you. They send you like little care packages and come and test you from
Yeah,
time
a
to
friend
time.
was telling me like you had to like register on the app so that people knew like not to go to your house, and then they like the government would drop off care packages with like toilet paper and like perishable food items and stuff. So
Hmm. Yeah, definitely.
yeah. So Coach Jan of Team Mad retired.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
how big of a change is that going to be for Team Mad?
I think it's a massive change.
Yeah,
But the thing about that team is they do have a bunch of assistant coaches that's been there for years and years, so they know the system. It was just I think the biggest impact will be that he won't be in anybody's corner. I feel like from what I heard is like if he does corner anybody, it'll just be the established fighters that he's been coaching for the past 10 years, which is like Kang Kyung-ho or Hamsae. Whenever if they do ever fight again, he'll be in the corner for them. This is what I heard. But for the younger generation fighters, he's just letting everybody, the coaches, the younger coaches, the assistant coaches take over. I think uh Hyon is his name. He's been one of the coaches for a long time. He's a Bibiano Fernandez black belt, jiu-jitsu black belt. Um, Hyon, I think he's taking over head coaching duties.
cool.
One thing good about him is that he speaks English and Korean, so he can communicate with like foreigners or whatever. With Mr. Yang, Coach Yang, he didn't speak any English, so if you would have went up to him, he probably don't know what you're talking about. But with the new guy sliding in, he speaks both, so it'd be better to communicate with him. That's good for like the people that are trying to reach out to the team mat fighters, like reporters or whatever. Maybe reach out to him, and then you guys would have an easier line of communication. But yeah, it's a big impact for a lot of guys. But he's still going to be around. He's still going to be helping them with running the gyms because there's a bunch of team mat gyms around the country. And
Like there's like 20 or something now.
yeah, there's a bunch. So
There's
he's
like
still going to be
10
doing the
in
day to
Tucson alone,
days.
I think. So
Yeah. But that travel, I think that travel over the past, I don't know how many years of him just traveling everywhere, cornering people. And he pretty much cornered every single fighter that he had under his umbrella. So, yeah, stepping back, it'd probably be nice for him. He's probably done enough for Team Mad for his team. Now he's just gonna kind of semi-retire and just work on helping the gyms grow. I think that's good.
Just like teaching in the gym and then
Hmm.
collecting money.
Yeah,
Uh,
hopefully.
okay, so one thing I want to talk about, and you mentioned it a little bit, is seems like there's a changing of the guard in the promotions in Korean MMA because like Road has been inactive, AFC inactive, TFC almost like 2 years now. I think it's going
Mhm.
on. No TFC, so you got like the new guys like Double G, uh, Zeus. The Beast is about to start, so it seems like the scene's really changing over there as far
Yeah,
as promotions go.
yeah. Well, I think it's just spreading out a little bit. Um, yeah, when you don't have shows, it 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 doesn't allow any of the like the up and coming prospects or young fighters compete, right?
Right,
So when you don't have the avenue for the young fighters to compete, the coaches and whoever's involved in the industry is gonna find some way to somehow to put on a show for these guys, and that's where the Beast Championship comes in. Zeus, what is it? Double G, AFC. Right now, I would say that Zeus and Double G have been the most active, so they're probably leading everything. Zeus should be back pretty soon too. And one thing good about Zeus is that they're very transparent in everything, like in fighter pay, in negotiations, in like they want you to go internationally if you fight for them. They're not going to keep you in a contract. They're going to say go. If you have an offer, if you have an opportunity to grow as a fighter, go. Like that's one thing about Zeus. Zeus is about the development of fighters in Korea. Double G, I don't know so much. But they're giving out belts. They're having championship fights, and they do have really good fighters on their roster that can go internationally and maybe even compete in the UFC one day. Um, AFC, they do, but they AFC is a little bit more like the freak show, like they have that aspect to it a little bit more. AFC is more towards the
yeah.
entertainment
They're like
side with
a
like
charity organization, right?
yeah, they're doing all kinds of weird stuff. Like they're doing like singers and fighters and like I don't know. I Me personally, it's cool when it works, but it doesn't work for them. So it's just it's I don't know. It's weird to see like the failure. It's kind of like they're failing at it. You know what I mean? They're
Yeah,
failing at trying to mix the entertainment with the fighting, and I feel usually it doesn't work out that way. You can't have like singers
right.
fighting.
Well, I know like one time they brought in this good looking fitness model chick, and she like kickboxed for them once before, and then they brought her in against like this small short girl from like Uzbekistan, and
Mhm.
you think, okay, this is going to be really interesting, and then the short like she was like Korean from Uzbekistan, just beat the crap out of her. It was hilarious. I was like, I mean, like, kind of felt bad, but it was like I think they tried to set her up to win the fitness model, and then like the short girl took it to her.
Yeah, yeah, that happens all the time, you know. But they tried that. They had the white cage for a while, which was terrible for anybody, like just visually and taking pictures. Photographers can't take pictures because it's the white cage, so it doesn't help anybody. Yeah, but yeah, they've been through so many experimental phases. AFC. I'm just wondering if they're ever gonna come back. To be honest with you, because a lot of the fighters, the champions are. I don't know. One of the champions went to the military, I think, so he's not fighting anymore. And the other belts, like most people don't even remember who held the other belts because it's been so long.
Young Ho Bay.
No, he lost.
Oh, he
He
lost.
lost to the
That's
Brazilian guy,
that's right.
and that guy's been sitting on the belt for forever. That was like years ago.
And
Because
then
Myung Obey, he fought in one championship, I think, twice now.
uh,
So it's been a while. Yeah, it's just I don't know. They're in a weird phase. AFC, Double G, they're just getting started. They had a rocky start, but this seems like they're getting better at managing this whole promotion thing. ARC, they know what they're doing. I wish they would just put on more shows. They haven't put on a show this year yet, but I'm pretty sure they will soon.
yeah,
And Yeah, and then you got Zeus, like I said earlier, and yeah, there's smaller promotions like GFC, one of the best names, right? Gentleman
Gentlemen
Flower,
Power. Yes.
yeah, fighting championship.
So,
You got that show going on from time to time, and yeah, and then like you said, the new one, which is the Beast Championship. I wonder
second
what's
best
gonna
name.
come about. Yeah, second best name. But hopefully they do have a show. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you don't know if it's gonna happen until like the week of.
Yeah. Speaking of GFC, which is for the viewers, Gentlemen Flower Fighting Championship. Do you have any insight on where they got that name? Because
Yeah, it's their sponsor.
from their sponsor.
Yeah, their sponsor is like a flower delivery service,
Oh,
and the flower delivery service, the name is Gentleman Flower.
I was thinking
So
it was like from the Hwaran from the Shilla dynasty, like the
I don't even know.
warriors or something.
Yeah, I don't know, but
Thinking they were
maybe it could be from that. But all I know is like their sponsor. They just basically took the sponsor name and then made it into the fighting championship, which works out.
I thought it was some cool history name, and now it's lame.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we got the Beast Championship coming up,
Hmm.
which they've got a bunch of fights, but two ladies fights on there. I don't know how familiar you are with them. I know like the first one,
Okay.
Cho versus Kim. Like I know personally, like I think Kim has one win. Cho is like 0-3, 0-4.
Yeah.
So it's like two fighters desperately looking for a win.
Definitely, and it's a strawweight. I don't know the thing about Korean when they translate it and it says strawweight tournament. We don't really know if it's a tournament or if it's just they're using the wrong word to
Right.
describe the fight, right? Because I'm looking at, I'm like, are they having a strawweight tournament? Because yeah, I don't think the other fight strawweight too.
It says it says strawweight tournament.
So I'm very unclear on if this is going to be an actual tournament where the winners fight each other. And is there a belt on the line? I have no idea. There's no word about that either.
I
So
mean, it's confusing because if you look at the full fight poster, there say tournaments and then the others say fights or matches. So
yeah, so maybe it's a tournament. And I don't know. I don't have the complete information on this, but I do know both these fighters. I've seen both of them fight. Um, and one thing about Eunbi Cho, who is Libby Cho, right? If you know her, she does a lot of like what is it? She
BJ,
does a lot of like yeah, jujitsu, and then she's actually uh like kind of like a reporter for uh Mr. Parker, which is like a BJJ like store website thing that they have going on. But yes, for her, she's fought like mismatches, I think, most of her career. Like she's only had a few fights, but man, a lot of those fights, they've been mismatches for her on her side where she was the massive underdog
yeah,
going into the fights and she just getting beat up, like
yeah.
she's tough. One
Hmm.
thing you know about her, she's tough, and Kim, she's tough too. So I feel like this fight's gonna be super sloppy.
Yeah, I think so. I watched Cho's last fight against Jay Che, and it was
Yeah.
sloppy as heck, but it was entertaining.
Yeah, I think that's what's gonna end up happening in this fight. These girls are tough as nails, and their technique is not the best. So they're gonna end up probably getting real sloppy, and it's just gonna be all over the place. But it could turn out to be very, very entertaining. If I would give an advantage to anybody, I would give it to Kim. I think a slight because you've seen more like offensive, I guess, firepower on the feet compared to Cho. You know what I mean? Look,
Yeah,
it
I'd
seems
say
like
so.
Kim hits a little bit harder. She has a little bit better movement, and and the thing is, like, she's able to like tuck her chin and throw punches, where Cho, she kind of has her chin up, swinging punches,
Yeah.
which is not always good.
And then second one's Hyeon Ho versus Inyon Che. Now I know Che, this is supposed to be her pro debut. Hong, she can hit hard. Like she looks like
Yeah,
skinny little nothing, but she throws heavy hands.
yeah. She reminds me of that girl that just got, the UAE Warriors champion that just got signed by the UFC. What's her name?
Manon Fiorot.
Yeah, she kind of has that similar style as
Yeah,
Manon Fiorot.
aggressive and hits hard.
Yeah, and she's just really, really small. And I think this Hong, she's actually probably an atom weight.
I think
She's tiny.
most of them are. I know, like Libby Cho, she mentioned fighting at atom weight, and then she never
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
I think they just do straw weight because the atom weight's just too hard to find. So they just said, hey, just you don't have to cut any weight, you don't have to lose any weight, just fight. And in this one, this is a big underdog. I think Cho, she's probably, I don't know what to say. I think Hong is the massive favorite because we've seen Hong fight. We know what she brings to the table, and she's fighting somebody that has never competed professionally. I would never take those odds. I would take Hong easy. I'd say Hong finishes this fight either in the first or second round.
Okay. Now down here in the corner here, it has the MTK MMA. Now I know they manage Yaron Hong. I don't know how familiar you are with MTK. Like they're a big stable in boxing.
Yeah.
Where they kind of like put on their own shows, but use like, because of the boxing laws, they don't promote their own shows. They like have other promoters that put on shows with their stable.
Yeah.
Do you know any other fighters or big like fighters in Korea that are signed with them, or do you think they're
there's a few fighters that are signed to MTK Global. There's Lion Che. I think he just signed with MTK Global. A couple of the guys that are, I think, fighting on this card, they're from MTK Global. Who was it that flew over to Abu Dhabi that fought UAE Warriors recently? Was it Hotek? Something Hotek. Hotek. Hotek, I think he's also MTK Global. He just fought for UAE Warriors. Yeah, they're signing a lot of fighters. There's one fighter in Glory who's also MTK Global, a Korean kickboxer. Yeah, they're trying to snatch up, talent out of Korea to spread internationally. But before they could do that, they're putting on this show with I feel like they're with Monster Gym. Monster Gym is like a gym that has a bunch of fighters out of there, and I think we'll on this Beast card, a couple of them are fighting. I forgot the names. You'd have to put up the card. I'm terrible. Like I said, I had terrible memory, so it's hard to remember anything. Yeah, MTK Global. They've been like in Korea for a little while, but just recently started signing up more and more talent, and we'll see what happens with it. You know what I mean? With management companies, it's a wait and see approach most of the time. You know what I mean? You don't know exactly what they're gonna do. MTK, like you said, they're known for their boxing. It's Tyson Fury. Once anything with Tyson Fury, it's blowing up, right? So yeah, MTK Global, we'll see what happens, but I don't know. There's a few other entities kind of trying to do the management thing in Korea because Korea is so new to having managers, like managers that are very transparent, and because normally the managers would be the coaches, and you know how that ends up not too well most of the time.
Yeah, no, because as soon as you have problems with the coach and you have problems with your manager or vice versa.
Exactly. And
like,
if your coach is managing you, then they're taking care of all the paperwork, and you don't know what is going on, right? The fighter. Yeah, you got to have separate entities. So it's a good step in the right direction for fighters, right? To have managers that are separate from their coaches.
Okay. So next up, let's talk one championship, Atomweight Grand Prix. So I know Chatri said on the conference call this past week they're waiting on one fighter to sign, which seems like everyone thinks is Ham. But who else do you think is going to be in it? Like I'm thinking, I mean, obviously Zambo Anga's in it, Mung Bo, probably Mei Yamaguchi.
Are they having 8? Did he say 8?
He said it was 8.
All right. Well, I'm thinking they're gonna have 4 4 of the top veterans, and they're gonna have 4 like up and comers. Let's say, for example, you have them pictured. Let's say Stan Fairtex.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like she will be in it but she'll be like one of the ones that are kind of the prospect
Yeah.
that has a bright
If she wins
future.
her, if she wins her fight this coming week. So,
Yeah, exactly. I think she won that fight already.
yeah,
I just have a feeling, right?
yeah.
But like like her and you got Isuka. Is it Isuka?
Itsuki
Isuki?
Harada.
Itsuki? Yeah, Harada, right? You got Harada, you got her. Those are I would put them in the kind of like a similar category. And then you got what's the Indian girl's name?
Ritu Fogat.
Yeah, Fogat. Like they're all kind of in that similar category, right? And then you got the other ones like Zamboanga and Mei Yamaguchi that are in the other category. So let's say if you do put them together, you got Zamboanga, you got Mei Yamaguchi. Those are shoe-ins. I think you should have them in there automatically. Mengbo, and then most likely it's going to be Ham, right, as the top four, and then the bottom four will be, like I said, uh, probably Stamp, Harada, Ritu, and maybe one other. Kind of like maybe an in-betweener. Who knows? Like a Jean Radzuan could possibly be in there, right, in
I think
this
she won her
tournament.
last fight, so
But if they do sign more, let's say fighters from outside that are more established, I can see them kind of just saying, okay, Ritu, uh, Stamp, Harada, you guys will be alternates, but you guys won't be in the tournament. We'll just have you guys fight alongside the tournament, and maybe we could squeeze you in with these more established names. Because I don't know, I think that they're trying to sign more than one person. This is just my gut feeling.
because I know Chatri said one, but it's like I know there are definitely rumors of them trying to sign more people.
Yeah, so I think Ham is probably the biggest name that they could pick up. There's probably a couple others in Japan that they would love to fight for one championship. It just all depends if Chachi wants them.
Yeah, well, I know she's the Shooto champion. I can't think of her name right now. Like she just won their super atomweight tournament, and she had fought Ham before. What's her name? Uh, Mina Karobi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she just won the Shooto tournament last year for the super atomweight, which is like 110 pounds.
Hmm.
She's on a 4-fight win streak right now, so
Yeah, that
you
could be
mentioned
this
you
could
love
be
to
her
fight.
last run.
And Shooto has that connection with one where if the Shooto champions want, they can sign on with one. So
Yeah,
I
and
think
also her, she's not a young fighter, right? Is she like in her 40s?
43.
Yeah, she's 40. I say let her put her in here and see if she can make a run, one last run, because 43 is not like it's really old for a fighter, right?
Yeah, that's
So
pretty old. I mean, she's not. She's actually younger than Miyu Yamamoto. So
yeah, but Karobe's probably had a bunch of fights though.
yeah, she's
And
16-5.
yeah, that's a lot. Anyways, yeah, they could sign her, you know what I mean? I think that would be good. But yeah, I just wish that they would move forward. From what I'm hearing is that yeah, there is some contractual hiccups, like barriers, maybe some miscommunication too, and that's why this deal is not going through. And I wonder if it will ever go through. To be honest with you, it might not.
That's what I've been wondering because I did a video a couple weeks ago speculating that it's like dead in the water because I mean if they were going to do it, they were talking back in October. They said early 2021. Here it is. It's if tomorrow is the 1st of February. It's already February 1st for you. Like
Yeah,
I'm thinking early. I'm thinking January. And they haven't even announced all the fighters yet, let alone when they're going to start it.
exactly. They already announced April
Yeah,
cards in April, and they haven't said anything about this yet.
yeah. They haven't said anything for us of February or March, let alone the Grand Prix. But they're already announcing big events in April for TNT in the U.S.
Yeah, it's weird, right? So, I think like once they figure out, okay, can we get her or can we not? If we're not, then they're just gonna move forward. I think that they'll just go forward with the atomweight tournament because Angelique's gonna be out for a while. I don't think she's gonna come back right away. We know that doesn't help to
Right.
come back real quick. Like when you look at an example of someone that was pregnant that came back too quick, it was Mackenzie Dern.
Yeah.
Mackenzie Dern came back 6 months later, and it was incredible to
Horrible.
see her do that. 4 months later, and it was incredible to see her do that. But really, who did she fight? She fought Amanda Hebus, and I told everybody that performance was not what Mackenzie Dern is capable of. She was 4 months removed from a pregnancy. You know what I mean? People are putting too much stock into that fight, into that win, and that's why I thought she was going to lose to Marina Rodriguez. Because of that reason, I feel like people are building too much hype around Hebus and the win over Mackenzie Dern, because Mackenzie Dern is a completely different fighter now compared to when she came back after her pregnancy. So yeah, like I don't think Angela Lee's gonna come back that fast. So this Bantamweight tournament is gonna probably last until next year, early next year, if they ever start it.
Well, when's Angela due? In April, something like that?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, my big concern for her is she going to be able to get her weight back down? I mean, Mackenzie Dern, I think her pregnancy changed her, and she's gotten her weight down to like her weight cut's a lot easier. But I know with Angela Lee, she was having trouble making weight before this. So
maybe the same thing's going to happen to Angela Lee, you know, where
possibly, but I think most women, it goes the opposite direction.
Yeah, so we will see, you know, but she's an athlete, so she's probably going to be able to use the best doctors, the best science, right, to be able to get her weight down, you know, effectively. And she's probably doing all the stuff that she needs to do during her pregnancy to not, I guess, gain too much weight or unnecessary weight, because nowadays, what is it?
She's still working out.
Yeah, so
like shadow boxing with her dad on Instagram or something.
Yeah, but that could be just like one little filming session, you know. Who knows what was really going on?
Well, that's why I always tell people, don't believe what you see on social media.
Exactly. And also, you know, I think if One Championship wanted the best Angela, they wouldn't rush her back either. They would tell her to take your time.
She's the champion as long. Yeah.
They got her back, you know what I mean? It's not like they're gonna take anything from her. And there aren't, you know, enough atomweights in the division making noise and screaming and yelling and like doing interviews to kind of push the narrative of like her getting stripped. It's not really there. You know, you did have Denise say something, but there's not really much from like the other fighters, you know what I mean? Because maybe the other fighters, they understand, you know, a little bit more.
I think one, I kind of have a suspicion one tells their fighters, you know, don't be saying this and that.
It all depends. I don't know. Maybe so, but I don't think about the Angela thing. I think they could say whatever they want because it's not about the promotion. But yeah, it's, I guess, the respect and all that, it's still there for Angela because she did build the division. She did build the division.
Yeah, they built it around her pretty much.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on, I think this might be the last one I've got for you. So Deep Jewels 32, there's a Korean fighter in there amid all those Japanese girls, Shiyu Park.
Yeah.
Sahi Yam's partner. They actually did the drawing for this it was like this morning my time, last night for you.
Okay.
So I don't know how familiar you are with all of these ladies, but I was going to ask how you feel like Park's chances are, because she has wins over, I think, 3 of the fighters of these 8.
Yeah, I see a couple of the faces. They look familiar.
Yeah.
I think one of the girls, the one on the second to the far left, didn't she just fight for Ryzen?
That was Sakura. Yeah, she just fought in Ryzen. She choked the girl out in the first round, but because she missed weight, it was a no contest.
Yeah, so like her, I recognize her, and I see a couple other faces that I recognize. So it's a good mixture of like veterans.
Ryzen against Reina.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a good mixture of like veterans and some middle tier fighters, and it looks like a young prospect. It's gonna be interesting. It's always good to like see a tournament like this, where there's like really experienced fighters taking on like the young like phenom type fighter, such as what's her name? So what is her name? Sarutu?
Tomomatsu.
Yeah. No, the young
one. Sakura.
Yeah, Sakura. Yeah, so like her facing off against Tomi, right? I think that would be something interesting to see.
I have it. Sakura is facing Murakami on the far left here. So she's
Murakami's fighting on here too.
Yeah, so she's only had one fight but she's like a jiu-jitsu black belt. She's with that. I think she's with Team Carpe Diem, which wins like every quintet grappling event they're in.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but
this is I think this will be fun to watch. Um, it kind of shows you like who like if let's say one of the like let's say Park or one of the younger prospects wins this tournament, that'd be huge for them.
yeah,
Moving forward, like getting signed by like a different promotion, a bigger promotion, especially like fighting for Ryzen or one championship. I could see one of these girls if they do win. Let's say Park, if she wins this whole thing, she could be fighting for Ryzen or one championship in the next year or so.
definitely. And she had a rough start to her career too.
Yeah, it's just I think a lot of the fights that she was just taking, she wasn't like strategically taking fights. It was just she was taking fights,
Right.
and her skill set hadn't caught up yet. She was basically just a sparring partner for Ham, and then now she's kind of coming into her own,
Hmm.
and she's winning fights, and she has like her own style, but kind of similar to Ham, and
Yeah, I mean it's similar. Like you see, she does a lot of the same, like pawing out with her lead hand and then setting up.
exactly. But she's got to find something that's gonna make her different from Ham, though. She can't kind of mirror that style too
Right.
much. You know what I mean? She's got to, but she's still young. I think she's what?
20. Let me see. I think she's like 27.
Yeah, so she's still young because she's been training the last I don't even know how many years I've been seeing her around. And yeah, so she's developing into her own self. By the time I think she's like 29, she'll probably be the best she'll ever be. She's kind of built herself. And then with Ham,
Yeah.
being a good kind of a leader for her.
So Park's actually facing off the pink-haired girl, uh, Mizuki Oshiro, who is like 2-2, I think, right now. So I think she's got roughly an easy first round fight.
Hmm.
But I know she's already beaten Park's already beaten Tomomatsu. She just beat Oshima. And then in 2019, she beat Hikaru Aono via TKO.
And those would be kind of considered the favorites, right?
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Tomomatsu, she's on like a 3 or 4 fight skid right now.
Hmm.
But she's like the eldest fighter, and she has by far the most experience. So she still has what it takes to beat up some of the younger fighters, like the less experienced.
Yeah.
So who's she fighting? She's fighting Oshima. So she's beaten the girl that Park just beat last month, who has less experience, like only like 5 fights total. So
That should always be interesting.
yeah, because I always say, don't overlook her just because she's on a losing streak, because she's got the veteran savvy.
Yeah, I see Park, she's been in Japan the whole time too. She hasn't gone back.
Yeah, because she had to do the 2-week quarantine over there before her last fight. She said she couldn't really work out, just focus on her weight cut. So now she's going to stay over there. She's been training at Crazy Bee a lot.
Yeah, so she has I think her boyfriend, he's a fighter too. He fights for Road. I forgot his name. But yeah, and he's
Oh,
like he I think he's Japanese or half Japanese,
uh,
but he's also half Korean. Not I don't know. Some kind of like there's a connection there. Something's there. But he's always back and forth from Japan. But yeah, like she's at Crazy B. I think she's been training with Miyu Yamamoto too a
yeah,
lot.
I think
So
she'll be a good fit over there at Crazy Bee too.
yeah, so they got a lot of good fighters over there, a lot of good coaches at Crazy B to kind of I think prepare her really well for this tournament. And I think that's why she's staying, right? Because this tournament is coming up. So if she can stay there and train and not have to come back, that's good for her.
Yeah. One thing I like about this tournament though is the biggest age difference is 21 years between Sakura and Tomomatsu, 17 and 38.
Man, that's like her daughter.
Yeah, it's crazy. But that's pretty much all I have. Any news on Ryzen next event? Like I think they're doing what next month in March.
Yeah, we haven't heard anything from them. Um, uh, I've just been hearing a lot of stuff about the restrictions for people flying into Japan. Is I don't know. I don't really see. I hear a lot of things about that, but I don't really research it because I don't really like. It's not like a big. I don't know. It's not a big deal for me because I just feel like if all those things doesn't matter, you know what I mean? Because like if you're not getting paid by somebody to do anything, like everything's gonna come out of your own pocket.
Right.
Where it's just it just makes me depressed to even look at some of those things. Because like it's like there's certain countries they have certain protocols, but you could get around those protocols if you have some kind of backing. You know how the world works, right? If you have someone in the government, something like if you're contributing a certain amount of money to the country. But for like regular people, you doesn't matter. You have to go through all the quarantines, get to tests, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's kind of shitty. Like, and that's the thing about Ryzen is like, will they be able to bring in uh fighters? Because they did bring in like Miyu, but and Kyle, right? They were both together,
Right. But
and
she's
they
famous,
fine.
so
Yeah, so you see, there's different situations for different
yeah.
different
They still made
people.
her quarantine though. Just she didn't
Yeah,
want to go to her dad's house.
yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what like. There's certain countries that by the next couple months they'll be a little bit more lenient on allowing people to come into the country. It all depends on what you have. Like there's like stipulations, but I wonder if the vaccine is going to be something that people are going to be able to take and then they could travel without, going through quarantines and stuff like that.
That's what I'm finding interesting because you got some airlines are starting to say like, well, if you don't get the vaccine, then we won't let you fly, or they're
Yeah.
trying to say that. And
Is
it's like,
there is there some kind of a is there some kind of like I don't know, is there some kind of discrimination going on there? Like if you don't take, can you get is that considered discrimination if you
I don't know. I mean, I think it just depends on different countries, aviation laws and stuff.
there's got
I
to
don't
be
think you can
somebody,
technically do that.
America's about suing everybody, so there's got to be somebody looking into that. You know how it works. I always tell everybody, like, if you go to the States, you turn on the TV at night. I don't know if it's still true now, but you're gonna see commercials of lawyers and just
Yeah,
trying
there's
to
a lot of injury lawyers on
get
commercials,
yeah,
the ambulance chasers,
exactly, right? So
a lot of what do you call them, class action suits more than anything.
exactly.
Like
So
if you've had a hernia repaired with mesh made by such and such company within between this date and this date, please call us. We might have money for you.
exactly, man. Like if
Yeah,
did you go to Starbucks between this date and this date? You might have drank the water and you
yeah.
might have a couple bucks for you, right? Stuff. Yeah, so we'll see, we'll see if that becomes a big issue. I think it will. Somebody's gonna come out and be like, "Oh, that's against our human rights. We can't." The vaccine's a big like argument
Yeah.
between a lot of people. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, just these restrictions, man. Some promotions are doing really well. I think Ryzen's doing pretty well for having these travel restrictions in place.
I think
And
so. Like I know some fans are like hard on them for not bringing in the foreign fighters. It's like, what do you want them to do? They literally have to put them in a hotel for 2 weeks.
that's a
Verizon,
lot of money.
that's a lot of money for either the fighter or it's a lot of money for Verizon to cover for them. It's like you can't just put them in a capsule hotel. One of those little tiny like, this is my room. This is what I'm refined to. But
Mm,
can't put a fighter there because they got to be able to move around and stuff. It's like
yeah,
expensive.
it is definitely expensive, and it is definitely just a big hurdle for a lot of promotions. But I guess they're gonna get around it somehow. They've been doing it in Abu Dhabi, and seems like when you fly. But I heard that Joe Biden is passing something to where when you fly into the States, they're gonna start doing the quarantines also.
Who knows?
Exactly. So
Anyway,
Don't get your news from us. That's one thing that's clear.
there are a couple viewers, so if you do have questions for John or myself, and it doesn't have to be restricted to the women's fighters, you can ask him anything. So if you have questions, go ahead. So I'm trying to think of something else to ask since we haven't gotten anything. What do you think 2021 is going to be for Asian MMA overall?
It's just going to be the same.
You think
yeah, last year.
Repeat 2020?
Yeah, it's just going to be a continuation of like who can keep afloat by doing as little as possible and getting around certain protocols to put on shows. But the thing is, like, you can put on shows, but you need to find sponsors. Will these sponsors still be around? Have they been affected by COVID? You know, how much they have been affected by COVID, right? So that could have a huge, huge impact.
Like all sponsors.
Yeah, if you lose your major sponsor, it's like you can't put on shows, man. Who's gonna pay the fighters? Who's gonna pay for the venues? You know, like it's
One championship brought to you by Amazon.
Exactly. I wish, right? Amazon that would be a crazy sponsor to have. But yeah, it's just it all depends on who stays afloat. That's what it is. It's like staying afloat. The UFC, man, they already have a machine in place to where it doesn't matter like pretty much what happens, they're gonna continue going. Right?
That's like people are complaining about, I see on a couple of different forums, people are complaining about Bellator not even announcing their next event yet, which is supposed to be for end of February. And it's like, UFC's already had X number of events in January, and Bellator doesn't even made announcements yet. It's like, Bellator does not have UFC's money. It's like they're the de facto number 2 in North America, probably not even number 2 in the world anymore. They were considered that for a while, but it's like Bellator doesn't have the UFC's money. They also don't have an entire city-state in Abu Dhabi just passing out the money, making it rain in order to build back their tourism board. So, because I think that's what's going on with the whole Fight Island thing is Abu Dhabi's just paying for most of it.
Oh yeah, well that's kind of like an open secret, right? Like
Yeah,
most people know that that's what's going on, and you can't hate them for it. Like I think they're doing a great job. To be honest with you, the fighters, they're getting paid to fight, and a lot of them have been taking full advantage of that and fighting way more than they ever have. And then I feel like that's great, man. I feel like if you're a fighter, you need to take advantage of this. Wins and losses are wins and losses, man. But the experience and to be getting paid, I feel like you shouldn't pass it up. And a lot of guys have become rich over this last year of the pandemic. It's just
Kevin Ho
up like 3, like you fought 5 times, 6 times, you picked up like 3 bonuses. That's life-changing money, I think.
Yeah,
especially if you're getting paid like $50K a fight or something like that, which is not bad. $50K times 5, that's $250K. You get $50K extra bonuses for performance. You're in another tax bracket.
Yeah.
After a while, you're just like, okay, now the manager really needs to do their work now because they got to figure out like my money,
Plus, you're on a 1099, so you're like a contractor. You're not getting like a regular paycheck worker. So
exactly. So it is what it is. So I think that they're doing a phenomenal job, and one thing that I wanted to talk about is like I released some news, right, about
I was about to go to that. Singapore.
Yeah, right. So I released some news about UFC in Singapore, right? And this is from a source that I have, close source, and they're telling me, the UFC is they're in the early stages of putting on a show at the end of April, and Zhang Weili will most likely be the headliner, right? Now, that's what my tweet said, right? This is what I heard, right? I just wanted to put it out there. Like these other websites, they're taking that and they're adding things to it, like like even like some of these like MMA Instagram pages and stuff, they're adding more to what I said, and it's almost like they're saying it like I said this, right? Like they're saying, oh, Wei Lee's gonna fight Rose Namajunas at UFC 261 in Singapore. I never said that there was gonna be UFC 261. I never said that Wei Lee's gonna fight Rose Namajunas.
Right.
I just said that the UFC is looking at these dates to put on a show in Singapore, and Wei Lee's gonna be the headline. This is the thing that it's annoying in MMA media. It's like they try to add this extra to kind of get more attention to themselves. It's like,
Right.
come on, there's a difference between reporting like the facts, right? And then reporting something that you want to doctor up and make it look a little bit more sexier so you could, like kind of like promote or whatever you want to write about it. It looks better. So that was kind of a weird thing, is like some of these like websites and pages that kind of like added like this extra layer of information on top of what I said, which they probably have no source on like what's going on. But I don't know, it's so weird. Do you see it all the time?
You mentioned before we came on, there was that one website, and I've seen them like where I would release a video, and then like 2 hours later they would release an article basically saying what I said in my video. And it's like, or the headline would be almost the same. So it's like, I've seen it myself, and I'm like a nobody. Like, I have like 1,500 subscribers. So
yeah, it's weird, man. But anyways, like what I release is just what I got from information from a source, and sometimes it's weird, man.
I got a question from the brother man. Oh, a super chat. Thank you very much. What do you think about the WMMA scene in Japan and Korea, future prospects there that will make it big to the UFC?
There's so many fighters in Japan.
Yeah.
There's like way more fighters in Japan, I think, than Korea. And so it's hard to say who will be in the UFC because there's so many promotions fighting. But I feel like if you're gonna pick some people from Korea, and right now I would pick a lot of the road champions. I feel like a lot of the road champions, they should go to the UFC just instantly. Like even Mansour. I talked to I texted back and forth with Mansour. He told me his contract with the road is over.
Wow.
So he's a free agent. So I'm really shocked that the UFC hasn't signed him yet.
Yeah, because he's good. Well, I was thinking, more. I think he means more about like the women, which let me see. Oh, okay. I would say if Park wins that tournament, and if the UFC does end up opening an atomweight division, I think she'd be a shoe-in for it because she has the fan-friendly style for it.
Well, I think they could sign a couple of these girls if they open up an atomweight division. I just don't think that they're gonna ever do that.
Yeah, I've seen good arguments for like why they should and why they shouldn't. So it's hard to say what they'll do.
It's hard to say because I don't think that they're gonna do it. I don't think they're gonna add any divisions anytime soon. I feel like if this pandemic never happened, then they would have a little bit more leeway. I feel like they don't have as much going on to where they could kind of focus on the atomweight division. And at the end of the day, I think it's all up to Mick Maynard. If Mick Maynard can collect enough talent and he wants to do it, he wants to add that thing in. I feel like Dana White has enough trust in Mick Maynard and Sean Shelby to where they could say something and he'll listen to them. So I think the big decision making is done by Mick Maynard. He's the one who runs the female divisions.
Right.
And if go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I think the biggest thing was like Dana, when he talked to the Schmo, he said he'd actually considered it, which with Dana, when he says he's considering something, that's actually pretty big.
Yeah, but Dana White is
he's hard to read.
Yeah, it's hard to read, and it's hard to believe anything he's saying. Because remember the Ultimate Fighter was supposed to come back like 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And he kept on saying it. And now it's pushed all the way to end of this year or something like that, or middle of this year.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's hard to say, but I don't like they were going to add a women's division, they would definitely add an atomweight division. But I don't know. I don't really see that happening anytime soon. This is just me being honest about like the climate of the atomweight division. It's just why, like a lot of these girls, like I bring up the whole thing about what about future at bantamweight? How many bantamweights do you know in Asia that are women?
Shizuka Sugiyama has been fighting at bantamweight, but she's really a flyweight. Um, they just had that like bantamweight fight in one, but it was not very good with Jun Yun Che and Savannah M.
That was a bantamweight fight?
They were, I forget. Let me see. I think it might have been flyweight, but
Uh,
let me see. According to Tapology, they fought at 138. Going by Tapology, which isn't always the most accurate, but
well, that is definitely bantamweight or even
yeah.
higher than bantamweight. The only bantamweight that I can tell you that will most likely be signed by the UFC in Asia will be Ramona Pascal, just because she's part of that program out there at the UFC PI in Shanghai,
Yeah.
and she's actually becoming better. I've been watching her development. She's becoming better. Her last fight, she did really well. I feel like they're gonna give her maybe one or two more fights on the China regional scene to see how build her record up a little bit more, get some more finishes, and then we'll most likely see her by the end of 2021 or beginning of 2022. She's the one at bantamweight, because in Asia there's not many bantamweights. There's definitely not any lightweights that are fighting out there unless they just don't care about their weight class and they're just fighting, right? And we've seen that a few times.
Right. It's after strawweight, it gets slim.
It does definitely get slim.
All right, so we got a couple minutes left for any final questions for John, because he's got to get going pretty soon.
So also like the WMMA in Korea and Japan, the previous question, who can we say that are prospects? Hong, we talked about her earlier. She's a lot of people consider her one of
Yeah,
the major prospects. You know what I mean? Um, who else is there? Her,
I'm
and
high
then there's the
on
other one for ARC. I forgot her name. She's also in high school still.
Yujin Shin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
she's
another
good.
one. But she lost her last fight, right?
No,
Oh no, she came back. She came back.
yeah, she's like 2-0, I think. So
Yeah, she's good. I just hope that they, like with her and Hong, they don't push her
yeah,
too fast. You know what I mean? Like I think that they've done that to many girls and it just never worked out. I wish they would just let her continue fighting girls that are like 2 fights, 3 fights, 2 fights, 3 fights, build that record.
yeah,
It's not padding the record, it's building the record. There's a complete difference between padding a record and building a record.
right.
You know what I mean?
Well, I know
And
with Road for a while they were having their female fighters fight like foreign fighters to try to build their record up a little bit, because
yeah,
they didn't want them to just face each other and then not progress. So they waited for them to get some wins under before they started fighting each other.
exactly. Well, that's what they need to do.
Yeah,
Even if you need to do it like regionally, then just do it regionally. But bring in girls that are wanting to fight, able to fight, because you never know. Sometimes like that's what happens in a lot of these fights. Sometimes the girls will face, like the prospect will face some girl, some random girl, and then that random girl comes out and just starts hammering the girl that was supposed to be the prospect and
right.
derails the hype train out of nowhere just instantly. And I've seen that a few times happen. It was just like, what the hell is going on in this world?
Yeah. Well, I know like one fighter out of Korea that I'm still always hyped on is Jung Park.
Yeah, but the thing is, she doesn't fight. Like,
But it's because she's stuck with Road.
yeah, that's the terrible thing. I wish they would just let her fight whoever.
Yeah, her and Yuri Shim.
I want to see her fighting Ryzen against like Kana and all of them.
Park, I think that'd be entertaining. Well,
Yeah, I think she'd be a good addition.
out of her last 6 fights, Hyeon only went to decision twice. Ayaka Hamasaki, split decision, and then Jung Park, she went to decision against. So I think that says a lot about her by itself.
Definitely.
And one final question. Do both of you agree that the UFC will plan to combine featherweight and bantamweight division together as a UFC heavyweight female title? I disagree. I think they're going to have Nunes beat Megan Anderson, and I think the most likely thing is that they'll close featherweight because there's nothing else to do with that division.
Yeah, I think
they haven't tried to sign anybody new lately.
That's the last fight right there. Like, there's nobody else to fight at featherweight. But then I heard that what the UFC is going to do is they might. This is a possibility. Is they might keep Nunes at featherweight, and then just have a bunch of the bantamweights move up to featherweight and fight for the title, and then have a new bantamweight champion come in.
Yeah, but then that's just the same thing, just in a new weight class. She's beating the bantamweights at featherweight.
Well, but it's still the division is going to be a little bit more active, right? Because she'll be a full featherweight. Like, she won't go back down to bantamweight unless it's maybe for a super fight or something like that against the champion that's reigning. And I can see that them doing that too. Is what they do is Nunes will fight at featherweight, and they'll convince, because like Aspen Ladd, I think she could be at featherweight. I think she'll probably be the best at featherweight
a few times. So
I think she'll be the best at featherweight. I think if she could get her body to featherweight and comfortably, I think she'll give Nunes a run for her money. Just to
like Macy Chiasson.
Yeah, there's a lot of women out there at bantamweight that could comfortably go up to featherweight, and then you're fighting for the title. Why would they not take that chance?
Yeah,
you don't have to lose weight to fight for the title. I think any fighter, that's a dream, right? To gain weight or just like keep your weight normal throughout a camp and not have to diet so much and fight for the title. I think this is the plan. This is my conspiracy theorist mind in place, is that Nunes is going to continue fighting at featherweight. They're going to bring girls up from bantamweight to fight at featherweight for the title, and then they'll sign girls eventually that are big to fight. And I think Nunes, she'll probably love fighting at featherweight because she carries more power, it seems like, and she still has the speed and agility that she has at bantamweight. So why not? And then bring in a new bantamweight champion. That's the question: is who do they fight? Like, who would be the two fighters to fight for the vacant bantamweight title? Who would you put there?
Right now, I would say Holm and GDR.
Yeah, and then if you think about it, who would be the better champion to move the division forward?
Neither of them. Probably
Neither.
GDR. I would say GDR because Holm's already beaten just about everybody else.
Yeah, and then like if GDR gets on a little run, they could always put that super fight together where GDR goes up to featherweight, or a third fight with Nunes goes down to bantamweight. Yeah, so I think they need to create these like these narratives, right? These situations for that division and for both those divisions. And that's why I think the atomweight division is not going to come in, because they have these plans for the featherweight division, where it's not really a featherweight division. It's just Amanda Nunes fighting girls, defending her title at featherweight until she loses. And that could be a possibility, right? It's just, what do we got here?
So I'm not really understanding the question. Like, I know they're signing fighters from the Shanghai Performance Center. They just signed 2 more. The Aura Cheleng and Na Liang, which Na Liang's going to be like a flyweight probably.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure they're going to sign more. I'm just surprised that they haven't like scoured China for like heavyweights and like just bigger fighters. Like Road had Orgali or whatever his name is.
If UFC can sign Aragella, they'll fill up the Cadillac Center.
Exactly. Like I wonder what they're gonna. I wonder what's going on with that. I'm pretty sure Road got some under contract too. But he would be great for the UFC heavyweight division. He'd be great for just UFC in general, right? A big Chinese heavyweight.
I mean, he's not that good, but he's entertaining.
And he'll go in there and bang, right? Like,
yeah, he's got the personality.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just,
Show
why
the-
don't they get him in there? I think that'll be fun. He's great.
Yeah, and they could just show the nut, and plus, you know, that nut shot clip will just get shown over and over again.
Yeah, yeah.
That was the most painful thing I've ever watched and not experienced in my life.
Yeah, that was in
Like, he went back into the hospital twice because of that.
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I like what the UFC is doing with the Shanghai Performance Institute. They're really building some Chinese fighters up. From what I've heard, they've also gone out to Chinese gyms and advised them on things they could do to make the gym better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that'll be good. What's going on?
I'm not going to highlight this one, but I don't know anything about that, the brother man. I don't know if can you see the question?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know anything about that, but I don't think they'll be doing that.
Yeah.
Supposedly there was an Octagon girl who was an ex escort, shall we say, entertainer. But that's all I know about.
Yeah.
Anyway, John, I know you got to get going pretty soon. So before you leave, why don't you go ahead and tell everyone where they can find you again?
Oh, JHK MMA. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all that stuff.
Right.
And yeah, just working, man. That's it. I appreciate you having me on here. Just
catch John at his own channel is Kumite TV, and he's usually hanging out on a lot of the live chats on SCMP MMA, which is a really good channel to check out.
Yeah, make sure you go over there and subscribe to that too.
Yeah, they're growing fast.
Yeah, trying to.
I like the One Championship fight companions.
Yeah, they're just it's goofy.
Well, it's like half of them are like up early in the morning for it. It seems like.
Yeah.
So, anyway, John, thanks for coming on and providing some Asian MMA knowledge. Trying to. And to everyone else, thanks for watching. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to WMMA Scene now, and also go over subscribe to John's channel and SCMP MMA as well. And we'll see you next time.